Cary, crazy number really, 288,000 in terms of payroll gains in June. We saw the prior months revised upwards. What do these numbers tell you about the recovery?
Well, it's doing quite well. We economists are scared of saying the word great, but it's almost a great result. And in particular, the fact that you've had 5 consecutive months of 200,000 or better is something that hasn't happened in the revised payroll data since the year 2000. So this, in some sense, is the best number, in a way, in 15 years.
Wow. Now, we also saw wages tick up. Have we finally turned the corner there? Are we going to see wage growth in a significant way?
I sure hope so, and even the Federal Reserve is obviously worried about the inflationary implications of higher wages, want higher wages, because obviously the typical family in the U.S. is still struggling. So that's the answer to that is yes. And in particular, if you look at small business surveys like the so-called National Federation of Independent Business, their own members are saying we're giving larger pay packets, and if you tie that to the current numbers, it would say that in about a year and a half to 2 years, the increase in wages would not be 2% as it currently is, but would be closer to 3%, which is actually very good news for the economy.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of other numbers, the unemployment rate also hitting a level not seen since 2008. At the same time, though, the labor participation rate isn't budging. What does that dichotomy tell you?
Well, it's kind of crazy. On one chart, you could show the number one reason why the Fed is behind the curve and ought to be tightening, which is the unemployment rate, because it's below what people would normally think it ought to be before the Fed's tightening, meaning around 6%. That said, if you look at the employment population ratio, it says let's throw the labor force out of the equation, just look at how many people have jobs. That number has ticked up substantially in the last year, but is extremely low. So it's telling you we've got a problem. And even though we are creating jobs, there are a lot of people, particularly long-term unemployed, who are so discouraged they're not even looking anymore. And that's probably the worst thing in the entire labor market.